51st Medical Symposium to address women's health issues. Food supplies destined for flood-affected areas in Gulf Province are left to rot. And the Baton is set to tour the provinces 100 days from the Games.
This is National EMTV News with Tokana Hasavi.
Good evening and welcome. This is Wednesday's news. This year's Medical Symposium is focused on women's health. This emphasis aims to open up dialogue and come up with innovative and strategic ways to address women's health. President of the PNG Women's Doctors Association, Dr. Linda Sirigoy, said this is vital as maternal and infant mortality rates are still very high. MTV's Delibago has more on this report.
A media conference was held today to launch the 51st Medical Symposium. It will be held this year from the 30th of August to the 4th of September in Port Moresby. The theme of the 51st Medical Symposium is Advancing Women's Health Through Innovation. President of the PNG Women's Doctors Association, Dr. Lydia Sinigoy, said despite consecutive health plans, there are still real issues with access to health care and the proper screening and diagnosis of women cancers, to name a few.
The issues of women's health are cross-cutting. They cut across all sectors. And not only that, when we're talking about women's health, we're not just talking about physical health. We're talking about mental health, social health. So you can't talk about women's health on its own. You've got to address the social indices, you've got to address the economics. All these come into play.
President of the Medical Society of PNG, Professor Nakapi Tefuarani, said the symposium will not only discuss women's health, it will include presentations from other specialists for recommendations to government through the health department.
This is where they talk about changing the treatment for various illnesses in this country and from this recommendation they are made into standard treatment and recommendation to the government of the day.
The Medical Society has a medical journal where all the papers from the symposium will be published. Medical professionals around the world learn about the different diseases that exist in PNG through this journal. The symposium is hosted by the PNG Women Doctors Association on behalf of the Medical Society of PNG.
So Medical Society plays a big role in terms of management of diseases that are important in this country. Decisions for how these diseases are going to be managed is through the symposium meeting.
Patron of the symposium is Linda Babao O'Neill, wife of the Prime Minister, who pledged her support of 100,000 kina. It will cost the Medical Society about 600,000 kina to hold the event, and they are appealing for financial assistance to stage the week-long symposium. Delhi Bagu, National EMTV News.
More than 500,000 kina worth of food supplies assigned for flood-affected areas in Gulf Province have been left to rot on the beach of Tubusaria village in Central Province. The supplies were bought mid-last year during an emergency call-out when heavy rain caused flooding in parts of Gulf and Southern Highlands provinces. But for almost 9 months now, these supplies have been rotting away. MTV's Quinton Alop reports.
These 323 food containers contain food supplies for flood-affected communities in Baimuru, Kikori and parts of Malalawa. Mid-last year, heavy rain has affected Gulf and parts of Southern Highlands province. Gulf Governor Havila Kavo and local MPs have been vocal during that time for immediate disaster relief. Following their calls, the government released 2 million kina to the Provincial Disaster Office for relief supplies. But for almost 9 months now, the people in these affected areas have not received any supplies. Acquittals of the 2 million kina were not given to the National Disaster Office in Port Moresby. But on Monday, the issue has been brought to light by police investigators and Kerema Open MP Richard Mendani.
Funds are released from the provincial administration to the provincial disaster office. Now, me understand was I buy all this like again. Or supposed to go down and distributing the temple Kerema district na Kikori or Nombi Wokim or store him or hide him food supply stable here.
3 of these shipping containers containing food supplies were left at a jetty off the coast of Tubuseria village. Food supplies inside were rotten and flour bags left out in the open. It was alleged that members of the Provincial Disaster Office visited the site on several occasions and cut open the padlock and removed some supplies for the personal use before blocking the container's entrance with large sandbags. It was alleged that 600,000 kina from the 2 million kina was paid to 2 shipping companies to transport these containers to Kerema. However, one of the ships, MV Burai, owned by a Samson Jube, is not seaworthy and has been grounded for 2 years now, awaiting National Maritime Safety Authority clearance. The second shipping company was believed to be a fake company. The Kerema Open MP says Kerema is linked by road, but why they decide to use money on ships that are not seaworthy will be investigated.
Now I think maybe I need to expose him this land. Who side officer, who side leader or province who involved this like kind criminal person, maybe like prosecuting this la.
Calls are being made for the Provincial Disaster Coordinator, Jerry Habe, to come forth and explain the deals and provide acquittals of the money spent. Quinten Alomp, National EMTV News.
The Papua New Guinea Red Cross has launched a campaign to assist provinces affected by recent natural disasters. This major relief exercise commenced in Jiwaka Province and is aimed at supplying humanitarian assistance to 4 other provinces.
Yesterday, staff and volunteers from Western Islands branch visited Baisu area in the province affected by flooding from Wagi River. More than 80 households received mosquito nets, jerry cans, blankets and kitchen items. The relief assistance has been made possible with the support from Australian Red Cross and the International Committee of the Red Cross. Both organizations have also provided technical and financial support towards the relief exercise in West New Britain and also Medang. A total of 1,500 jerry cans and 2,000 mosquito nets have been sent to West New Britain, and distribution is expected to commence this week in Biala. Items have also been sent to Medang branch, and distribution is expected as soon as possible. Under the campaign, Red Cross PNG aims to reach out to 10,000 people that have been affected by the recent flooding throughout these provinces. Apart from West New Britain, Jiwaka, Western Islands and Medang, Red Cross PNG is also assessing Central Province. The humanitarian organization is calling on available donors to support this ongoing effort in reaching lives that have been affected. Michelle Amba, National EMTV News.
And still ahead on the news, clean water for flood-affected villages in Morobe, also a central database for the law and justice sector, and duplicate land titles. I'll bring you those stories and more coming up after the break. Good to have you back with the news. Villages affected by flood waters along the Bulola Highway in Morobe Province will now have access to clean drinking water and sanitation facilities. The people in the Ward 1 area of the Mumang LNG have been lacking clean, fresh water since the 2013 floods in the area. The Advantage Development and Relief Agency assisted by building a water tank and installed water taps and an ablution facility at the village market.
In many areas that experience floodwaters, the people are left to suffer with inadequate supplies of food and other necessities. Their homes, food gardens, water sources and even lives are lost during the disaster. For villages along the Timini section of the Bulolo Highway in Morobe Province, rebuilding lives after floodwaters have been challenging. Access to clean drinking water sources and having proper sanitation facilities are difficult to be built in this area, and it poses a health risk for the people.
Our objective in our sector is to provide accessibility to clean, safe water and provide proper sanitation or improved sanitation facilities to the community. So
the Adventist Development and Relief Agency, with funding from the Bulolo district, have built water facilities for the affected villages. Hadra's water and sanitation project uses basic plumbing methods to connect several sections of the village to the main water source. The same mechanism has been widely used around the region and in many parts of the world to build water facilities for communities.
The passion that we have that drives us and is the determinant factor in trying to bring the same services that government also provides. So when we have passion for that, we become the channels in which we deliver services, although there may not be the benefits that you can have, but the passion that we have makes us to reach out to the people who actually needed the same services that government also provides. And for NGOs...
Bulolo's water problem is similar like that faced in other parts of Papua New Guinea, much of it caused by heavy rains and landslips from the mountainous regions. The outflow of water runs through villages, damaging food gardens and covering water wells and toilets with sediments. But while the government has made commitments to fix roads and bridges washed off by floods, rural water and sanitation projects remains underfunded. Sylvester Gawi, National MTV News, Leh.
And on that same note, the Adventist Development and Relief Agency is looking at rolling out the water and sanitation project in all rural areas of Papua New Guinea. However, funding constraints remain a major challenge for the church-run relief organization. The organization is partnering with stakeholders to deliver this much-needed service to the rural populations.
Like anywhere in the world, the availability of clean, fresh water for consumption in both rural and urban Papua New Guinea has become a concern. Climate change and natural disasters have affected water sources in small creeks and water wells. Unpredictable weather patterns have also taken its toll on supply of adequate fresh water, leaving affected communities high and dry in remote areas.
Development is all about being happy on anything that is being provided for them, whether small or big.
The Adventist Development and Relief Agency under its Water and Sanitation Division says funding remains a challenge for them to bring this vital service into communities. Unlike electricity, infrastructure and other basic government services,
water and sanitation seems to be the biggest need within the communities and the other programs that we have. So we'd like to expand this project, but our financial constraints seem to be the major challenge.
Providing proper water and sanitation facilities helps people to look after their health and hygiene and boost economic activities in the community. Today, the organization is partnering with stakeholders like the government to source funding to drive this project in rural areas in the country.
We know that we don't have the financial capacity sometimes to provide all the services that we can. We struggle to sustain our operations, and we look for means and ways, especially to source funding so that we can able to help the people who are really in need right out there in the remote areas.
Sylvester Gawi, National MTV News, Leh.
More donations are pouring in for the West New Britain flood appeal. Today, two business houses in Port Moresby, Brian Bell Limited and CPL Group of Companies, presented boxes of tents and a cheque of 125,000 kina. West New Britain Governor Sasindran Muthavel was present to witness the occasion.
Brian Bell Limited stepped in today to present boxes of tent sets for flood-affected victims in West New Britain. The tents will be airlifted or shipped to Kimbe for the West New Britain Provincial Disaster Office to repack and distribute to families and communities.
On behalf of Brian Bell & Company, we're pleased to donate the 20 tents to the flood victims of West New Britain.
CPL Group also raised their hands today, showing the commitment to help with a donation of a dummy check of 125,000 kina. Not only that, but the company's city pharmacy business will donate more than 5,000 packs of ores and zinc, medical drugs for people who have diarrhea because of drinking contaminated water.
And we hope that they will be reminded that they're not forgotten. We are also more than happy to give donations to this recovery effort.
CPL Supermarket Stop and Shop will provide assorted food, while Adwe House will donate 200 tarpaulins, 100 jerry cans and 200 anti-mosquito nets.
And of course, we'll be working closely with the governor and to see, of course, we have our businesses in Kimbe and we'll see how far we can extend our support to this particular devastation and try to see how we can help.
Governor Mutuwel added that the support has been overwhelming and a key obstacle now is the logistics support for all donations to Kimbe.
I'm so grateful and thankful for the development partners for continued assistance since the time we started this appeal, and this is greatly encouraging and help us, our people, to bounce back and also to restore the normalcy back in the province.
Jagla Pave Jr., National EMTV News.
Meanwhile, West New Britain Governor Sasindran Muthuvel has called for the national government to quickly release the promised 35 million kina for infrastructures damaged by floods. Governor Muthuvel said the more people wait, families, business houses and the governments will be affected.
We need government support immediately, the promised release of that 35 million kina to the Department of Works, so that those two bridges, especially the Ivule and Tiauru bridges, can be restored and we can bring normalcy to the province and also to the people.
More than 7,000 criminal cases are still pending since 1983 due to irregularities in the legal system. An integrated centralized database will be established for all law and justice sector agencies involved in the criminal justice processes to address such issues. Today, the agency signed 11 memorandum of understandings to launch the National Criminal Justice Improvement Project.
The project is historical for PNG as it is the first in the Commonwealth countries to involve all law and justice sector agencies involved in criminal processes to improve in the way cases have been managed and dealt with. The judiciary will take the lead role, while all the law and justice sectors, including police and correctional service, will commit their agencies to work in collaboration. This means that the said database will have a relevant data of all criminal cases and be able to track and monitor cases from the point of arrest to the point of disperse. Unlike before, all vital information will be shared among the agencies and be accessible through this database.
The MOU also provides for collaborative effort amongst all the law and justice sector agencies involved in the criminal process to share information and collectively account for the criminal cases that enter the court system from the point of arrest to the point of disposition.
Chief Justice Sir Salamo Injia said the work of the law and justice sectors have remained largely uncoordinated. As a result, the management and tracking of criminal cases have been inefficient in the system. Although it has been widely spoken, there are no data to support this assumption. Currently, there are about 7,700 pending criminal cases. The oldest case goes back to 1983, where a warrant of arrest was issued and never executed.
Courts have our own enforcement mechanism for orders that are issued by the court. The office of the sheriff of Papua New Guinea is responsible for execution of court orders. But traditionally, the sheriff office has not seen it their responsibility to go out and execute this bench warrant in terms of apprehending and arresting the accused and bringing him into court. It's been left to the police force.
Meanwhile, the National Criminal Justice Improvement Project is a law and justice sector-wide initiative, a mechanism set in 2001 to bring together all the law and justice sector agencies to find ways in improving the management of criminal court cases that enters the system. Vasinata Yama, National EMTV News.
Deputy Secretary for Lands, Luther Sipison, has blamed the Morobe Provincial Lands Division for the lack of control over land grabbing in the province. Over the last 2 years, there has been an increased number of duplicated land titles given to prominent businessmen in Lae City and others overseas. Luther Sipison says duplications arise when land titles are awarded without proper consultations between the two offices.
The Provincial Lands Division is a section of the provincial government that functions on its own. It's headed by newly appointed Morobe Provincial Administrator Patilius Gamato, while the Momase Regional Lands Office is headed by a representative that reports to the National Land Secretary Romali Kilapat. Over the last 2 years, there has been growing confusion caused by subordinates not communicating with their counterparts in the other office.
When the two offices are not communicating and they are not cooperating in what they do here, we have this kind of problems.
While in Ley today, Lands Deputy Secretary Luther Scipion said communication between the Provincial Lands Division and the National Lands Department has been poor over the years. It has caused a breakdown in essential communication to how land titles are being given out.
And I think those that were implicated are from the Provincial Lands Office, not from the National Lands Office.
It comes after a backlog of problems associated with the duplication of land titles caused by confusion between the two departments. In October 2013, a portion of land opposite the Anga Hospital was fenced by a Ley businessman claiming ownership with a land title from the National Lands Department. It drew political attention from the Morobe Governor Kelly Naru and caused a public outcry from the Ley community. It brought to light the lack of control that the Morobe Lands Division had on land allocation without a board. The demolition of the fence was personally supervised by Governor Naru. The land is now being used for the redevelopment of the Anga Hospital. Bethany Harriman, National MTV News, Ley.
Mineral Resources Authority has acquired new geological data updated to attract mineral investors. In a statement, MRA says the areas surveyed are located between Oktedi Mine and the potentially huge Frida River project. The survey has been conducted by MRA's Geological Survey Division and is now in its final phase.
The Mineral Resources Authority says benefits derived from such surveys are far greater in terms of attracting mineral investors into the country. Due to the downturn in commodity prices, companies have halted mineral exploration activities. However, MRA wants investors to view new mining prospects in the country. At present, the team from MRA's Geological Survey Division is into its final phase of acquiring geophysical data over the western PNG border with Indonesia. MRA says the new geophysical data sets, comprising magnetic and radiometric data, will provide useful information on possible exploration targets. The final data sets will be released at the end of the year. Another survey being conducted is the National Geochemical Sampling Program. It is jointly done by MRA and China Geological Survey Team. All information collected and marketed to attract mineral investors. The program will cover Milne Bay Province and the New Guinea Islands except Autonomous Region of Bougainville. It will run between May and August. Bridget Komatep, National MTV News.
And now we take a look at the finance news. The Kina closed unchanged at $0.3765 in the interbank market, and at Bank South Pacific, your Kina was fetching $0.369, $0.4657 Australian dollars, €0.3338 and 43.73 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and cocoa closed the day higher, coffee and copper closed lower, while palm oil, copper and crude oil all closed the day higher. And finally, on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 105 points lower, the ASX closed at 4 points higher, and the All Ordinaries closed at 3 points higher. And National MTV News continues after the break with more local stories. Stay with us. Good to have you back with National MTV News. An agreement between the health departments and the City Pharmacy Limited will rehabilitate the country's dental clinics in the health sector. The department has purchased dental equipment for 18 clinics throughout the country. Last week, the first 5 were installed at the Port Moresby General Hospital. Each kit comes with a dental chair and equipment.
The rehabilitation started off with the country's major referral hospital, Port Moresby General Hospital, receiving 5 dental sets, including a chair plus other associated equipment. The contract between CPL and the health department covers installation, training and maintenance of this equipment. PNG's Chief of Dentistry says the dentistry section has been the least prioritized area, and this partnership is a positive development for this department.
We were down about 6-7 dentists working in the country. Now we are well over 20 filled all the provinces now with dental manpower. Manpower in place, we'd like to see equipment also reaching there.
It will also help future trainees and postgraduate training in the Department of Dentistry at UPNG School of Medicine and Health Sciences. The public-private partnership is a continuity of what CPL has been doing for the past 2 decades.
But over the last couple of years, we've ventured into hospital equipment, and we very successfully did a supply to Vanima Hospital a couple of years ago, and we're proud to say that it is still working.
All 18 sites will be completed in the next 3 to 4 months, with CPL expecting to have all locations covered and ready for use by June this year.
This is the time that we will up the ante, and we will follow through. City Pharmacy being a Papua New Guinea company, that we're here on the ground to support it, and we will ensure as part of our ethical standards that these things are maintained, and we work closely with the department.
Michelle Amba, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea does not have enough technical experts to match its increasing number of industries. One Australian college is extending an invitation to provincial governors and administrations to select and send upper primary and secondary students to take technical courses in Australia. The college, called Foreign Exchange Global Education and Training Services, so far has graduated more than 500 PNG students in technical fields ranging from agriculture and aviation to tourism and health studies.
Director of Foreign Exchange, Global Education and Training Services, Kim Sutherland, said the demand for skilled labor in PNG is very high, but the supply is low. She says demand for education is also high, but spacing in technical and vocational training colleges are low. Australian technical teachers are paid on a salary of 100,000 Australian dollars per annum. Therefore, employing them in PNG will be very expensive. The Queensland-based Technical College, which also provides accommodation, logistics, recreational and pastoral services, is inviting provincial governors to send their upper primary and secondary students to study in one of their colleges in Townsville and Cairns.
There still doesn't seem to be enough young Papua New Guinea nationals trained in positions so that they're gaining employment with multinational companies and industry. So we listen to the province and we ensure we develop a program that's effective for them. Yes, so for example in Bougainville, we've developed a 5-year strategic education plan where Bougainvillians will have the opportunity for 720 to be trained from 2015 for the next 5 years. Now those training courses, 10% of that will be tertiary leaders, 20% of that will be secondary students, which within the next 4 or 5 years will be qualified and able to come back and take up leadership roles.
Their courses range from agriculture, automotive, aviation, building and construction, business, information technology, tourism and health studies.
Also provides one tutor to coach the students per student for 5 days a week, which is very, very valuable, and PNG students would appreciate that very, very much.
Interested governors can contact the college on this address. They are currently in Port Moresby until next month. Quintan Alomp, National EMTV News.
Modilon General Hospital in Madang is doing its best to battle the spread of tuberculosis. It has made it a priority this year by building a new TB clinic that is soon to open. Interim CEO Christine Gawi says the hospital has recorded a high number of TB cases. Many are still on multi-drug resistance. She says capacity at the rural health is the biggest challenge facing the hospital to deal with TB. Financial capital is making it difficult for the hospital to carry out rural visits where cases are more prevalent. Central Province Catholic Health Secretary Leo Banban says Karakuhiri District is expecting a TB outbreak if patients continue to disregard medical treatment. Mr. Bunbun said according to surveys, there has been an increase in multi-drug resistant TB in the district. MTV's Eric Harupma travelled to Berena in the Central Province to get an update.
Catholic Health Secretary Leo Banban said the increasing number of TB patients in the Karakuhiri district is a concern for health authorities. With major challenges like the remoteness of the district to nearby health centers is posing challenges for patients to access medical treatment. Many patients have defaulted after treatment due to limited accessibility to sought medical supplies. Earlier this year, the Prime Minister announced the government's prerogatives to fight TB in the country. Millions of kina has been allocated to contain and manage TB in the rural areas, and health authorities, developing partners and agencies have been vocal in addressing this issue.
You may come na give him na look the microscope or look him some binatang blend stuff inside. That is the thing that cause him TB. In a sanguma, in a poison, and all bullshit. So plenty time we don't come quickly to the hospital to get early treatment, to check our belly.
Catholic Health Services, with support from NGO organizations like Child Fund, have been instrumental in providing medical services to contain this disease in the Central Province.
Child Fund's contribution in coming to Pereira is to support the district health staff, church health staff, to observe that day.
Meanwhile, with much emphasis and focus in this area, many people are able to seek and access medical treatment. Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
Turning overseas now, terrorism has been ruled out after 150 people died on board a doomed German airliner following an agonizing 8-minute nosedive into the snow-capped French Alps. The Germanwings Airbus A320 disintegrated on impact at an altitude of about 6,500 feet, killing everyone on board.
Germany tonight is in a state of sadness, in a state of mourning, and also, of course, in a state of shock as well. This is a country that prides itself on its high technology, on its ingenuity, and of course all of that extends to the sector of airline safety as well. And that's one of the reasons why so many German politicians have come forward. Angela Merkel is going to head to the crash site tomorrow. The German foreign minister was already at the crash site today, circling above it in a helicopter, describing the gruesome pictures that he saw there. But of course, in the early stages after this crash happened, it's all about the victims here in Germany. One of the things that Germanwings has done is it's put in place a crisis center here at Düsseldorf Airport. This is the place where that doomed flight was supposed to land. And of course, many of the relatives of those who were killed on this flight have come here. They can receive psychological counseling here. And the same thing that's happening in Düsseldorf is also happening at Barcelona Airport, which is the place where the flight originated. One of the other things that the German Wings leadership said it will do is it wants to put in place what they call a contact center, where it's offering all of the relatives of those who were killed the possibility to be taken to the vicinity of where this crash happened, simply to be closer to the place where their loved ones were killed. Now, of course, within this larger tragedy, there's also other tragic events that are moving this nation. One of them is the fact that there was a class of school kids also on board this plane, 16 of them who were coming back from an exchange in Spain. Them and 2 of their teachers were killed on this flight. Also, 2 opera singers here from the Düsseldorf area. One of them was traveling with her small baby. That's only one of 2 babies that were also killed on this flight.
And National EMTV News continues with True Guy Sports. That's coming up next. I'll have stories on the Oil Search Pacific Games Relay Baton and pennant competition. Details when we come back.
True Guy Sports.
Welcome to True Guy Sports. 101 days now remain till the opening of the 2015 Pacific Games, and the Oil Search Pacific Games Relay Baton has been officially launched from the shores of Port Moresby. To witness the launching was Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, NCD Governor Powis Parker, Sports Minister Justin Chichenko and Oil Search General Executive Manager Gary Alpi.
Designed in the shape of a kundu drum and incorporating traditional designs, the launching would signify the start of the long journey throughout the country. Prime Minister Peter O'Neill, who had only just arrived in the city, was guest speaker, and he asked the people of the nation to welcome the baton in culture and tradition.
So in all our diversity, in language, culture, and the true meaning of welcoming, that Melanesian way of welcoming that we always extend to everyone who come and visit us.
Host Governor Powis Parker expressed excitement at the relay and as a member of the bid team from 6 years prior, expressed further satisfaction at the achievements to date.
Let us be proud Papua New Guineans in Port Moresby to welcome all our brothers and sisters from the Pacific to their homes for 2 weeks in the true spirit of hospitality and in the true spirit of our people.
Oil Search's General Executive Manager Gary Aupi, when asked of his company's commitment, spoke of the pride of having a PNG company's involvement in providing an opportunity to allow people throughout the country to be part of an event of such historical proportions.
But by getting out there and also trying to show off our culture, our heritage, and some there could be very important areas that the provinces want to showcase, then we should be able to do that for the Pacific, not only for the Pacific but also the rest of Papua New Guinea as well.
Over the next 101 days of the Oil Search Pacific Games Relay, the baton will travel around the country, starting off and ending here in Port Moresby City. And the sailors from Moto and Village Ngabagaba given the privilege of launching a smaller version of the Lakatoi into the warm waters of the Coral Sea. Jeremy Mogi, National EMTV Sports.
Don't touch that dial. True Kai Sports continues after the break with the 2015 Rabtrans Rugby League Nines. Stay with us.
True Kai Sports.
Welcome back to True Kai Sports. Over to golf. Telecom PNG has for the 5th consecutive year sponsored the 2015 Pennants competition. There will be 10 rounds in this year's Pennants Championships, which is set to kick off this weekend. MTV's Elijah Levet has more.
Telecom Pennants, an annual competition played at the Royal Port Moresby Golf Club, is set to tee off this Sunday in Port Moresby. The competition will run for 9 months. Telecom Chief Executive Officer Michael Donnelly was pleased to announce their continued sponsorship.
We'll be in launching the Pennants competition. Telecom is pleased to announce its continued sponsorship and a series of prizes with regard to weekly winners and obviously the grand prize.
11 teams will be taking part in this year's Pennants competition, and they are DHL, Ella Motors, AP Engineering, BSP, Kumho Tires, Scale Mirupasi, Modern Oil, Starland Dragons, Freeway Motors, Telecom, and Swire Shipping. Royal Port Moresby Golf Club General Manager Scott Morrissey said this is the premier event that most members look forward to, and he also named a few competitions that are on this year's golfing calendar.
Yeah, I think the enthusiasm and it's the event that the members look forward to the most. Not only the players, but they have a lot of supporters as well. So a lot of the families come out as well, and it's just a wonderful day. The first event of the year is the National Championships, which is held here at Royal Port Moresby Golf Club in 2 weeks' time. Following that, there's the Morabie Open over in Lae, so that's a wonderful event that all the national players go and play. And the week after, immediately after that, is the PNG Open, which brings all the professionals up from Australia and around the South Pacific. And that all culminates into the big event of the year for Papua New Guinea, and that's the SP Games.
Telecom PNG has been associated with the Royal Port Moresby Golf Club, supporting golfing events throughout the years, and we're delighted once again to be part of this golfing family through their association with the Pennants competition. Elijah Lavet, National EMTV Sports.
Gazelle One are the champions of the 2015 Rabtrans Rugby League Nines. The Peninsula men proved their worth, finishing the tournament undefeated.
Callabon Field in Kokopo was a scene of rugby league festivities over the weekend with the staging of the 2015 Rabtrans Nines. Teams from all over East New Britain as well as Tanga Island in New Island Province participated in the tournament. All 18 teams put up classy displays throughout the round-robin stages. In the bowl final, Lisco Eagles proved too strong for Dusty Shipping Bulldogs, defeating them 16 points to 12. Foreign Butts defeated Lion Crew 16-10 to take out the plate honours. The Cup Grand Final was a torrid affair with Pomio Team 1 putting up a tough challenge for Gazelle Team 1. However, big game experience from Gazelle got them home in the end, coming out victorious 34 points to 16 and walking away with the winner's cheque of 20,000 kina. John Nightingale, Managing Director for NGIP AgMark, was on hand to present the winners' prizes, and he commended the players for ensuring East New Britain's continued status as a leader in unearthing raw rugby league talent.
Congratulations again on games really well played, very entertaining, and keeps East New Britain Rugby League on the top. Thank you.
Albert Patak, Gazelle Team 1 captain, was excited about the win and acknowledged the hard work put in by his boys.
I just want to thank all the supporters, came all the way from the place, and all the supporters around in East Britain.
Meribatulo, National EMTV Sports.
Overseas to cricket, Australia is yet to decide on a final 11 for tomorrow's Cricket World Cup semi-final against India. The captains of both India and Australia like to lead by example, and their plans and strategies are going to play a huge role in the semi-final.
Final preparation, a huge contingent of Indian fans turned up to the SCG to watch both teams train, and Michael Clark is expecting similar support for the visitors tomorrow. Essendon captain Joe Watson admits the Bombers players facing suspension over the club's 2012 supplements program are suffering from nerves. The AFL Anti-Doping Tribunal has a deadline of Tuesday to hand down its decision on whether the 34 past and present players will be sanctioned.
Obviously there's a decision coming and it's a significant decision and it's going to impact the football club.
The NRL has confirmed it's looking to overhaul its interchange laws. It has been reported that the league could reduce the amount of interchanges from 10 to 6 per game from as soon as next season. And the Socceroos are likely to be without Asian Cup Player of the Tournament Massimo Luongo and Trent Sainsbury for tomorrow morning's friendly against world champion Germany. Tim Cahill and Mats Baranovic have already been ruled out of the clash.
And that wraps up our sporting segment tonight. Stay tuned for the weather details after these short messages.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Looking at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow, in southern region all centres fine except Karama, cloudy weather. In Momase, mostly fine, expected in Wewak and Funimore. In the New Guinea Islands, all centres fine weather. And in the Highlands region, all centres to look forward to cloudy weather, then morning fog. Now before we go, quickly recapping our top stories again tonight. The 51st Medical Symposium focused on women's health. Also, relief supplies for Gulf flood victims left to rot, and assistance for provinces affected by recent natural disasters. And that's how we end this bulletin this Wednesday. From the news team, I'm Tokana Hasami. Thanks for your company. You take care and stay safe. Good night.